What's up everybody, Al Joseph here, and today I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a rig using the HeadRush Prime. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and get into it here and set up one of my rigs here. The first thing I want to do is hit this plus sign, and one of the first parameters I like to mess with, I won't get too much into it today and dial things in because I want to get into some of the other pedals that I'm into, but you double tap this input here, you can actually set up the gate threshold and the noise filter before you even start messing with any pedals, which I think is great. And if you start playing, this is awesome. So you got a gate here and you got your inputs, and you can actually save this preset here pretty much for everything, which is awesome. All right. The first thing I like to throw on here, no matter what my tone is, no matter how heavy it is, no matter how gainy it is, I like to put on a gate. So I'm loving this new gate here they have called the Captain gate. I'm just going to set that to default here. And this is great because for me, you know, I don't want anything too tight. I just want a lot of the noise to be taken out of the sound, whether I'm going single coil or humbuckers. I just don't want so much noise. It's okay to have a little bit of noise. It's okay to have a little bit of decay going on with the actual sound of the guitar so it doesn't sound too boxed off. But the extra noise, depending on whatever room you're in or whatever venue or what the electricity is, this actually solves that pretty nicely. And I'm not even touching this right now, so you'll hear how that sounds a little bit later. Next, we're gonna go ahead and dive straight into the amp of choice here. And for me, I'm really into HeadRush's 85 M2 lead. So I'm gonna go ahead and find that bad boy. There it is. All right, so I really like how this one sounds. There's no cab on it, so it's gonna sound kind of weird. All right, I like that. I like that tone already right out the gate. So that's gonna be like the preamp sound. And then I'm gonna set the drive actually to 75, around 75, because I know I like it there. I just know for sure. And then here, we're gonna go, I'm gonna leave some room here for some more effects pedal tones, effects pedals. In the effects loop, I'm gonna add the cab IR here. And my definite favorite, I'm gonna go straight actually into the new Revolver cabs here that we have. And I tend to lean toward this Flat Hill Studio 412. I'm actually gonna choose the TL here. All right, so let's hear how that sounds with a nice speaker. Okay, so if you double tap the cab here, there are more options actually. So when you're using the Revolver cabs, you can choose the mic type. There's a lot of other parameters here where you can choose the axis. As far as the mics, we have tons of mics here, but the must-have is the N757. So I'm going with that here. As far as the gain and the mic distortion, all that, I'm not gonna really touch any of that. This stuff sounds good as it is. You might wanna mess around with the mic axis. So if it's on axis, it sounds like that when the mic is actually pointing straight on to the speaker. If you want it slightly angled off the speaker, to me, I feel like that adds a little bit more, I don't know, low-end boominess, but I'm gonna keep it straight. It's got more of a focused sound in my opinion. And then moving over, these are really cool. I haven't messed around with these yet, but this is great. You can actually turn the ambience on and you can get more of a room sound. Hear the sound of the room. If you want to, let's say we want to increase the size of the room. I want to increase the level just to get all crazy here. going to sound like it's in a room, all right? And that's the vibe you want to go for, because if you're actually recording a cab in a real room, you're going to want to choose the room. You want to think about where you're recording it in. So this is great. You can simulate that very nicely. All right, but I'm going to put this back to its default setting. Go back. So now we got our basic tone for the amplifier and the gate, all right? We've got really nice tone. We've got the rawness of the amp. The amp is screaming. We've got the amp setting set up. All right, now what we want to do is control a little bit of the signal chain going in a bit more so that we get more of a focus tone, so we get that iconic tone that we're looking for, that I'm looking for, especially within the M2 setting. So what I'm going to do is go ahead first and add what I want my wah to be. I just think that's important to have because you never know when you're going to need a wah, right? So I'm going to go ahead and add that in. Probably not going to use it right now, but I'm going to go with the black wah default, set it there. And you can toggle that on and off with the expression pedal here. So I'm going to leave that off, all right, until I need it. And the next thing I want to do is start controlling a bit more of the low and high end of the amplifier by controlling the clean sound from the amp, or from the guitar actually, the line level signal, and giving it more of a bump so that I get more sizzle, more gain going into the amplifier so that I don't have to drive the amplifier too high and get oversaturated here. So what I'm going to do is choose an overdrive pedal for that. And I usually go for the green pedals, but you know what? I've been messing around with this for a little bit, and I'm going to try the S1 drive. Set that to default. And then what I'm going to do here, really what you want to do with any of your overdrive pedals, you know, don't mess with the drive too much. Don't mess with the tone so much. Go for that level and see how it sounds first. So I'm going to crank this level all the way up because I know I'm going to be doing a little bit of lead here. For rhythm tones, I back it off just a little bit less, but I'm going to leave the level all the way up because we really want to drive the line level signal from the guitar going into the amp so the amp doesn't have to work so hard, okay? And that way, if I need to clean up the saturation, I can go right over to the amplifier, back it off a little bit. Maybe I'll leave that around 60 for the duration of this, and then we'll see how that sounds. You really want to hear each and every note of the guitar that you're playing. I got 7 strings going on here. I can hear every single note. So that's turned off. All right, that low end is a little bit flubby, but that's normal for an amplifier. So I love how that sounds moving forward. I know that whatever effects that I add to this, it's just going to sound great because I've got everything in front of the amp making the amp sound dope. And I've got the perfect cab for it as well, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do for my tone is I like to add a little bit more finesse to it, all right? And that's when I get into the chorus. So I'm going to add some modulation here. They've got some really nice new choruses. I'm going to go with the multi-chorus here. I'm going to set that to stereo. So even for my rhythms, you know, I want the guitar to sound a little bit wider on stage. I want it to sound a little wider when I'm doing my takes in the studio. It just sounds great to me, and it sounds pretty, I guess, unique to the way I want to use it. So especially when you hang on a chord like that, you're going to really hear how the chorus sounds with it, all right? I don't want too much chorus. I don't want it dipping and flowing too deep. I just want it to give me a little bit of character, a little bit of taste to it, all right? A little bit of flavor there. So what you'll notice here is that I placed the chorus between the amp head and the cab here, okay? And what that's going to do is simulate the effects loop, pretty much, all right? So all of your time-based effects should be after, okay? Because if you put it before the amplifier, what you're gonna get is that delay or whatever, and that's gonna end up getting affected by whatever the amp's set to. So you don't want your delays to be distorted, right? You don't want your time-based effects to be distorted, so you wanna put that after the amp head, in between the cab and the head there, okay? So I did that on purpose there. I'm gonna leave this right where it is. Again, with the choruses, I don't want them to be so noticeable. You just want it to be kind of one of those wild card factors for your tone. So that's why I have it there, and it sounds great for me. So again, that's stereo multi-chorus. And then the next thing I'm gonna do, which you have to do for leads, in my opinion, is add some delay, all right? When I get in here to delay, I'm actually gonna use the air delay. Yeah, the air delay. And I'm gonna have this set to the ping pong setting, okay? The default ping pong, all right? I don't want the sync, I don't wanna sync up any, I want it to pretty much float over any time signature, any time field that I'm playing over. I just want it to be there as an embellishment to my tone. I know what I like for my delay, timing, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this to 750, kind of a bass right there. You can just leave that and play over anything, all right? Now, what you're gonna notice here is gonna be pretty loud, actually. Okay, now we don't want that, right? We want more of a focused tone. We want people to hear what you're playing directly, but we just want a little bit of that delay to add that ambient sound, to add more of an ethereal sound. That's what I go for. That's my thing, okay? So I'm going to mess with the mix. I usually have it around between 15 to 20%, all right? And another factor is you want to control how many times the delay delays, right? How many times it repeats, right? That's a bit too long, right? If I'm gonna be playing continuous notes, I just want it to capture maybe 1 or 2 turns around, right? So you're gonna go ahead and tap on this, and it's gonna scroll down your options. Feedback is gonna be what we wanna control. 30% is just way too high in my opinion, so I'm gonna have that down to about 5%. And now you'll notice, all right, it's not repeating so many times now. So now when I play the same thing, okay, I actually want to move that mix up just a little bit more. Let's say 25%. Now we can mess with it. Okay, so it's not too distracting, and it's adding a bit more dimension to the sound. So that's where I love my delay. And then moving behind the amplifier, just to touch things up, I want to add some ambient noise from a pedal, from an effect, actually, and not so much from the cab itself. So if I want to do that, I'm going to go ahead and add a reverb pedal. I'm going to choose the 11 reverb for this one. I like that one a lot. And then I'm going to add just some ambient room sound, okay? So let's go to a medium wood room, actually. See how that sounds. And you can adjust that to your liking, all right? That sounds pretty huge to me, but I'd like to mess around with that more. But that's pretty much the way I'm thinking about my tone, all right? That's pretty much the only modulations I'm gonna add. That's the ambient sound that I'm gonna add. So yeah, that's my entire rig. That's how I think about my tone, whether in real life here. I love this because what it allows you to do is think what you're gonna really do in real life and apply that to the whole interface here. It just works beautifully. As you can see, we've got tons of amps, pedals, effects going on here. And that alone is going to help you develop the rig of a lifetime. That's going to help you develop your dream rig there. And also with the cloning feature as well, the possibilities are endless, okay? It just goes on and on and on here, which I'm sure we all love, right? We all love that. We love to experiment here. So that's me with HeadRush, guys, and I hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you next time. Peace.